Hi, I'm Bob Trask. Today we're going to talk about something that's really exciting to me. And this is going to be a part of a group of talks because we're going to be talking during this month. This is the month of December. We're going to be talking about hope, peace, joy, and love. Hope, peace, joy, and love. Those are power statements. You know, in this world that we live in, power seems to come from force, doesn't it? Like bombs and bullets and bullies and big muscles and strength and dominance and aggressiveness. But those things come from weakness. They don't come from power. What comes from power is the depth of our true beings. True beings. We came onto this planet, we, the human family, came onto this planet as something really special. We carry within us the ability to overcome anything that comes our way. And we may have to change something about ourselves or our lives in order to accommodate that, but we can do that. So the talk today is going to be on hope and hope as power. As power. We're going to focus on hope and heroism, working miracles when all seems lost. Fyodor Dostoevsky, the great author of so many great books, great German author, said, "To live without hope is to cease to live." And he's not talking about idle hope. He's talking about the power of hope within us. So hope is another word for confidence, for assurance, and for trust, especially trust. And trust is our modern day word for faith. Like you go to church and they talk a lot about faith. But in our world today, it's called trust. To be able to trust, to have faith is to have hope. To have trust is to have hope. And hope, as we will see today, is not wishing, not wanting, not saying, gee, Clancy's driving to Philadelphia. I sure hope he's going to have a safe trip. That's not hope. That's wishing that he has a safe trip. Hope is a direct force of yourself into what you need to have happen, what you need to be. It's powerful. It's not praying for something. You know, I grew up praying, dear God, please let this, please let that, please let something else. Affirmative prayer is co-creating with the sacred universal mind. Affirmative prayers are linking arms with that great presence and creating the reality we want. Didn't Jesus say, pray knowing your prayers are answered? A positive prayer is not pleading, it's determining what will be. Now, there's a lot of people that, like I was for so many years, asking their God to give them what they need. But asking is not truly praying if you follow that Bible's direction. And I'm not a big religious guy, so this isn't a religious talk. That there's some real powerful stuff in that book. And it says in there, truly I say to you, these are the words of Jesus. Truly I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, be taken up and thrown into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes what he says will come to pass, it will be done for him. Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you've received it, and it'll be yours. Believe that you've received it, and it'll be yours. And whatever you ask for in prayer, you will receive if you have faith. So hope empowers us. No matter how dark situation might seem, and boy, there's some that seem pretty dark, hope revitalizes us. It revitalizes it, gives us strength to overcome the most difficult conditions. Hope changes. difficulties into solutions. So if I come up against a tough situation, oh boy, this one's not solvable. This one is really not solvable. It's huge. It's huge. There's no way I can get past this. And I know you've had those in your life. So let's just focus on one of those for right now. So I'm looking now at this situation, and please look at situations in your life that you might have faced or might face now that absolutely take you off at the knees. It's just, there's no way to get past it. Something has to change, doesn't it? Something has to change. Can't stay here. Something has to change. The situation has to change, or I have to change. And sometimes I have to change. I have to change my mind. I have to change my attitude. I have to change what I think. But here's the thing. If I can envision what it's like to be without that problem, if I can just envision that and not hold it as a fantasy, but as a vision, and allow myself to have the faith that that will come true, the hope, because I'm saying again, hope and faith, hope and trust, they're the same thing. When not, and the hope that I'm talking about, I'm not talking about being hopeful. I'm talking about being trustful, seeing what you want to have and knowing in your heart, in your soul, in your body, in every part of you, knowing that that will happen and being unwilling to be dissuaded by the dark currents that flow across your mind that try to take you away from that. So where there's hope, there's heroism. There's heroism because when you and I face those dark times, to have hope in those dark times, ooh, that means that I have to really change something in my mind. Excuse me. So I have to change something. And sometimes I can change the situation, but sometimes it's me that has to change. There are things that come along in life that you can't get around. There's things that come along in life that I can't get around. Boy, I've lost some really dear friends and some loved ones. I've had to go through that. And what had to change is I had to change. I didn't want to let go of how it was before, but I had to change. I had to come to a new level. And I could only do that through a vision. And what does it take to have that vision and to hold to that vision? It takes heroism. It takes courage, an enormous amount of courage. Clarity and courage build confidence. Clarity and courage build confidence. It takes courage to keep that hope alive. And we've been down, some of us have been down for a long time. It takes real courage. I want to quote something from the National Youth Poet Laureate, Amanda Gorman. I heard this lady, young lady, she must have been just in her teens, maybe young teens. And she spoke at a presidential inauguration. And I was so blown away by her poem. Here's a part of that. The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it. If only we're brave enough to be it. The new dawn blooms as we free it, for there is always light, if we're brave enough to see it. If only we're brave enough to be it. Big step. And she said the right word, brave. How can a teenager know that stuff? Mike. You know, I've known prisoners serving life sentences who face every day with hope. I've known people with terminal diseases, people in chronic pain that doesn't go away. Some people I've known in those situations have had short lives, but they had hope. Others I've known refuse to give up. They have the courage to keep hope alive, even at the end. They're my heroes. But you can't have hope, my dear heart. You can't have hope if you don't have a vision. Because otherwise, what are you hoping for? You can't hope for something to stop. That's not hope. I'm in pain right now. I want my pain to stop. That's not hope. Hope is what's on the other side. When my pain stops, how will it be? I don't have the money to pay the rent. I hope somehow I'll get. No, that's you're looking at the deficit, you're looking at the vacuum, you're looking at what isn't rather than what is. And we must at that time look at what we want, not what we don't want, what we want, and put our hope there. You have to have a vision. You have to know this is what I want. John Lennon said, "You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one." Remember that great song? We're all miracle workers. I'm sure you know that. We're not helpless and we're not victims. Each of us is a perfect child of the universe, of the great spirit of the Holy One, the perfect incarnations of that great majesty. And wherever we are, whatever the situation, a bright future is waiting to be built on what? On the foundation of our hope. So no matter how tough the circumstances, we're never helpless and we're never victims. We were born to win. We were born to overcome obstacles. We're victors. We're the hearts of heroes. No matter how many times we get knocked down, we can always get back up when we believe in hope, when we have the courage of faith, of trust. I must say that today's young people, many teens, have very little hope for a bright future. When you talk to them, they see the world as total chaos, and many of them have given up before they've even started. We did that to them. We focused on everything except faith and hope and trust and the goodness of the world. We think the way to solve problems is to attack them, to hammer on them. How does that work? I mean, like we go to war. Well, we've had wars as long as we've had people. And has that helped? I mean, we've killed hundreds and hundreds of thousands, probably millions of people in our wars, many of them holy wars, fought for religious purposes. And there's wars going on right now that are being fought for religious purposes. A little contradictory, isn't it? But see, the thing is that we go to war because we see a problem and we don't know how to get around it. Well, the way you get around it is to accept it first and then get a vision beyond that and then negotiate and talk and work toward that vision. Blowing something up is not the solution, but we do that in our own lives. We come to a problem and we say, damn, God, why does it just do it? Rascal God, and instead of saying, okay, this is the problem, and I can see beyond the problem what has to change, and there's parts of me that have to change, and we'll make it work. But we have to teach our young people that. We have to teach our young people how to get past the darkness. And we can't fall into the darkness of self-doubt, the darkness of doubt. This is awful. So we have to hold for those kids, for those young people, a world that works for everyone. They must feel assurance from us that they can learn to believe. Just we our forefathers, we have 5,000 generations, you and me. 5,000 generations of grandmothers and grandfathers behind us. And they're not dead. We know enough about death to know that death isn't permanent. Death isn't what happens. We are here forever and ever and ever. And all of our grandparents are all still alive, all of them, probably in different dimensions, but they're all still connected. And they passed the torch down to you and down to me, didn't they? They passed the torch down to us. The torch of clarity, of how they came to see more clearly. And then the courage to change things that seemed not changeable. And that built the confidence within them to go on and challenge the next level. But we haven't taught our kids that because we have forgotten it ourselves. We have to be able to see the world as a possibility, as an opportunity. And you and I have lives of opportunity. Opportunity to make things work, to make things better. There are people who pass away because their time is done and they need to move on to the next dimension because their work waits for them there. But you and I are still here and our work is still here. And you and I came onto this planet, each unique and individual, and we have the talents, we have the abilities to move beyond anything that happens to us. We have the ability to do that. And I'm not saying that it doesn't hurt. And I'm not saying that it isn't sad sometimes. I have some aches in my heart from many, many, many years ago of things that happened, things I did, things I wished had turned out differently. And those aches are going to be there for as long as I live. And I accept them. I accept them. I don't just because I accept something doesn't mean it goes away. It just means I become one with it. If you accept something, it doesn't mean it'll go away. It means you become one with it. And when you become one with it, it stops haunting you. And you're able to move forward in life. And that takes hope. And the way I'm talking about hope today, not wishing, not wanting, not praying for, but seeing it and having the power within you, the heroic power within you to move forward past those obstacles. One of our most trusted ways of finding hope is through gratitude. See, if let me juxtapose myself into a 17-year-old person right now, and I'm looking at life. And you remember being 17 years old? Whew, boy, frustrating time. Being those teenage years were real toughies. So let's go look at that. Or maybe 15 years old. And you're looking at the world around you, and it just seems like chaos. And you're supposed to get better grades, and you're supposed to get a better education, and then you're supposed to get a trade, and you're supposed to go out in the world and work and do something, and it all just seems so hard from where you are, and so futile. But what if, and just see if you can stay with me on this for a minute. What if, and just feel yourself in that teenage body. What if you have gratitude? What if you feel not thankful for this and that and something else, but just a sense inside of you of gratitude for being, just for being? You have a body, you have hands and fingers and toes, you can sing, you can walk, you can talk, you have talents, you have abilities, and just a basic gratitude in yourself. Then from there you can have hope. But if you don't live in gratitude, I don't think you can have hope. Do you? Like if you don't have gratitude, what can you hope for? Because you have to have a platform, don't you? A platform to come from. And if that platform is gratitude, with a mindset of gratitude, we envision realistic ways in which our circumstances will be made better. With hope, pain and discomfort subside. Pain and comfort subside, and it becomes easier to foster positivity. And it becomes easier to begin to create what we want. Desmond Tutu once said, hope is being able to see that there is light despite all the darkness. Here's some things about hope I want us to carry forward this week. Hope is a healer. We all know that hope is the opposite of despair, which is a disease itself. Despair is definitely a disease. And incidentally, when you get into despair, of course, despair and depression are just brother and sister. But when you get into despair, it becomes your way of being. It becomes your life. I know one person in my life right now who's living in absolute certainty that the end is coming, that we're going to have nuclear war, that we're all going to blow up, that it's almost over. He lives in that despair right now. So it's a disease, and it stops healing. It stops the healing. We can't heal our bodies. When we're in despair, we can't, because the brain sends out messages to the body, sends out chemicals to the body from hope. With hope, positive chemicals like endocannabinoids, dopamine, adrenaline are released in the brain. And we get excited again about the good that awaits us. So now, hope is a compass. It's a compass. And it points us in the direction of benefits for our future. And boy, I spent a lot of years on the ocean as a sea captain and as a seaman. And boy, I can tell you that big compass, that needle wandering back and forth, you better get that straight and hold that course. And the compass is hope. The compass tells us where we're going. It keeps us in the right direction. It keeps us focused on where we are or where we need to go to fulfill our lives. It doesn't lead us into storms, doesn't lead us into the rocks, doesn't lead us into darkness. It leads us where we need to be, but you have to keep that hope alive. Helps you know that you're the person who can make something good come true. With hope, we act in a way that creates a peaceful, joyful life. William Faulkner, great author, said, you cannot swim for new horizons until you have the courage to lose sight of the shore. And the shore that we all hang on to sometimes is pain. You might be in a marriage where it's just hopeless. I mean, you've tried and tried and tried, and there's just nothing's going to happen there. So you accept that. Well, that's the way it is. I accept that. That doesn't mean you can't change it. What would you like to have happen for you in your life? Get that vision. Get that vision and stay with it. And watch miracles happen. Because that's the way miracles happen, is that you get a vision and you hold on to it, and here's the vision, and here's an obstacle, and here you are. And here you are trying to go to your vision, and here's an obstacle. If the vision's strong enough, the obstacle dissolves. But if you don't have a vision, the obstacle is all you see. That's all you see. You can't swim for new horizons, said William Faulkner, until you have the courage to lose sight of the shore. You have to let go of those things that don't work in your life. You can accept them and then let go of them. Hope, hope is, you know, hope combats those negative thoughts. It's difficult to have negative thoughts when you're hopeful at the same time, when you're in gratitude. Should you ever think, I can't do this, hope reminds me of how capable you are. And finally, this from Shel Silverstein, which I love. Listen to the listen to the mustn'ts, child. Listen to the don'ts. Listen to the shouldn'ts, the impossible, the won'ts. Listen to the never haves. Then listen close to me. Anything can happen, child. Anything can be. Anything can happen, child. Anything can be. I'm going to add mine to that if you have hope. Thanks for being with me today. Thanks. If you wouldn't mind stopping by bobtrask.com and leaving a donation, I would really appreciate it. Helps Mary and me keep our work going on in the world. Thank you. I really appreciate you being with me. Go with my love, and I'll see you next week.